All right, folks, welcome back. It is Monday, so it is our reset day, right? Last time we covered the launch. Well, kind of launch. It was the day after of the first week of Blood Harvest Part 2, right? And I really enjoyed it, at least the content side of things. The zone is incredibly dense, packed with different ecosystems, biomes. It's a great tour de force in how they're blending all their assets to create like a constant, really detailed and dense environment, right? I think that's one of the most attractive thing about this new setting. Things are very dense, and I enjoy that type of design language largely because there has been this recent, I would say maybe 2 or 3 years ago, this constant push of increasing scale. And often scale led to a lot of void space, right? Something can be very big in scale, but empty in life. So, um, this zone was fantastic. The way the repeatables, right, the daily repeatables are great. They are nearly non-repeating. Actually, I didn't find an instance from my experience that there was a repeated thing. That all the encounters and heroic encounters were also variety. And over the week, or not really the week, but like 5-ish days, because I started a little bit later, uh I did enter a random trial queue and saw the normal version of the trial. I still don't recall what the trial's name is called, but the new trial. And I do have some words I want to share about that. And it comes from how whoever is communicating on behalf of like Dika and Cryptic, when they're doing their post, it's I think it was just called the Soul Harvest. Now that I think about it, the trial is just called Soul Harvest. I think there's a really big elephant in the room that I may want to address right now, or maybe after we do our things. I think we're gonna address it now, and it deals with the mentality that I was digressing into the last time for week one, and that is this constant conflict of interest between me and the direction of the game, right, or the design philosophy. And this does definitely coincides with how trials and dungeons are being laid out now. So in the post about Soul Harvest, right, they advertise it like, oh yeah, this is our greatest yet trial. I know it's a second trial, and I already made the comment last week about how trial is like anti-growth. It's to me, it's considerably anti-growth. It's pandering, and that's what live service does to maintain business a lot of times, provided that the player base is steady. And Neverwinter's player base has been steady for the last several years. Steadily in the sense that its rate of decline is natural. It's a relatively gradual, natural decline, right? However, there's no growth, so that's very different. And oftentimes there were brief moments where they decide, okay, we're going to do something for growth. And those are the times when I'm very excited, because that means when you're making stuff like this, when you're covering games like this, right? Whenever someone watches you play or something, they'll be like, oh, I haven't ever played this game before, or I feel like returning to this. How is it now? And usually when developers and publishers focus on growth, to me, psychologically and whatnot, it would be for the idea that I can suggest, hey, yeah, you could pick it up again, and or try it out, because the developers and the publishers have growth in mind, which is catering towards new players. there were instances maybe 2 or 3 modules ago where I was excited about that. I can get people excited about Neverwinter, talk about like, oh yeah, the next one, the event is very going to be experimental. Like there's a lot of variety and whatnot. It's no longer the case anymore. And it came to a halt wherever it is. Maybe like it's a Deka transition or whatever. What it feels like now is that while I absolutely love what they're doing with the map and how they're consolidating all their assets and years of like structure and subsystems into a densely module, that's awesome. That's a great way to consolidate, to quickly show people like, yeah, we've done a lot of work. This game has been around for a very long time. We have so many ideas and we're just bringing them all together, right? While that is still true for the people who are making content for this game, it is not true, in my opinion, for how tier systems and how marketing and optics is being done. Marketing and optics keep screaming, here, look at our game. It's also run by the country club and everyone who stayed with us. So this game is more, whenever I see an announcement like Soul Harvest's announcement, it's an announcement for the people who already plays the game. And especially for the people who still will continue to play the game likely. And it has a complete, in my opinion, disregard or a diminishing or even a condescending tone towards inviting people to play the game. So I'm not entirely sure nowadays when I go to their site and read their news, what is their target audience? And to me, no disrespect in a sense, I think they understand what they communicate, their business model and their intent very clearly. They're here to try to maintain the existing population of the game, and they're not looking to suddenly come up with a viral idea or something that would change the nature of the game, because that would mean that the existing players would be at risk. So you have like around a certain population and they're playing because they're expecting consistency and not discoverability or nuance or new things to attract new players, because that would create a conflict of interest. So with this, I wanted to address one big elephant in the room that tells me that that is exactly what they're communicating and they're unapologetic about it. And that's perfectly fine. I want to highlight that anyone who wants to consider playing this game or catching up or returning, I don't think the publisher or the developer makes any signs that they would ever consider favoring or advertising or expanding their optics to other people in order to grow the game. The game is no longer in a growth phase. It's no longer in an expansion phase. It is clearly trying to stay alive and also cater and pander to the long series of live service things. A live service game like World of Warcraft, for example, they rarely go through another renaissance of growth phases. What they tend to do is try to at least pander and consistently pull along the existing population. Now, Neverwinter does not have, in my opinion, a financially sustainable model because their player base is already dwindling. World of Warcraft, on the other hand, has a substantial one, like Elder Scroll Online, like for example the Skyrim population. I know that's not an MMORPG or a live service, but the idea is that when you enter this phase in design where you're constantly pulling feedback from your existing audience, then your feedback only panders and caters to that existing audience. It's a trade-off that live service models make. There are wonderful essays on this for people who are far more experienced than I am, that has like some insight on the business end, and as well as game development, as well as being the gamers themselves, that demonstrate this correlation. And to me, that's what Cryptic / Deka is communicating. And now we get to the elephant in the room. When they advertise Soul Harvest, here's a great example. They talk about how exciting their trial is, and they first highlight how it's going to be challenging and there's going to be great rewards. It's super exciting, but they're talking about the master and the advanced levels. And then near the end on the bottom, they talk about, oh yeah, and also we made a normal version, which is like a stripped down version. It has a different feel that's made appropriate for whoever is too lazy and inappropriate and unimportant to us. That's kind of the notion that I get. So what does that scream? It's very different from some a couple years ago or a couple modules ago where the normal is reflective so closely to the advanced and the masters in mechanics, but they're scaled down and tuned down so that they can bridge that, right? So that's why I feel like, yeah, it's over. Like the growth phase or whatever initiative to try to cater to finding a wild card for another growth phase for Neverwinter, that's way past due. And that's perfectly reasonable from a business standpoint and from a loyalist standpoint. If you're someone who played this game for a very long time, it will continue to provide news, your feedback, and cater to whoever is already playing the game. And that's good for them. For myself, I'm not really in the market to cater to people who already have a successful relationship with this live service game, maybe, or like a harmonious relationship. Most of my content focuses on encouraging people to explore and play new things and be encouraged in looking forward to change and to experimentation. Live service games, when they get really old, like a lot older, it becomes less and less. Then I move on, right? I move on to a different live service game. So we're kind of getting at that point now where there was glimmers of hope that there was still experimentation in line despite alienating existing people who believe that their feedback is the best feedback because they followed this game for a long time. Generally, when you're in an echo chamber long enough, it doesn't matter what you say, and the validity of what you say is that you're there longer, right? Seniority, nepotism becomes the pandering thing for live service games. So this game is going on 12 years, and that's a natural course. So I'm not here to strong arm anyone to thinking otherwise. What I can say is because of that nature and the way Dika staff is putting out their announcements, or whoever is working for Cryptic and so on, it's pretty clear that I play this game because I am a legacy player. I've played this game for more than a decade now, and that is what the game caters to. So if anyone asks me, oh yeah, would you think it's worth getting into the game? The answer is no. Like, it's a startling no. Like, because there is no indication in development or feedback that it has anything to do with taking note from people who may be interested. It's all of the feedback and stuff is in-house, echo chambered in its place. And then all the content and scaling and stuff to keep the players playing are all towards them. And to that end, I have one last thing that I'm no longer going to talk about after this, and that's gear. Gear is often a reflection of what their importance is. And this time around, it's incredibly egregious. Like, it's egregious to the point where I don't have to be upset about it because they're unapologetic. They know what they're doing, and that's fine. I will simply stop recommending or stop suggesting games to play like this because usually they're trying to hold on to what they want or what they have versus taking risks to gain others, right? And this is a change in direction. So the gap between not doing the trial at all to doing the advanced version, or I guess the normal, this would be the normal tier between the artifact set, And the advanced set is this small, right? It's very small. That means like they're trying to encourage you to complete the campaign. So if you complete the campaign, you'll get this. Whatever the stats is, we're not going over the stats. I'm not even doing gear things because gear things are the reason why this game is not casual friendly anymore. And it is incredibly hard to even appreciate most of these gear because it's heavy on the lawyer front. Basic facts. No harm if you like that type of thing. But this is what you get for completing the story, or the campaign, which we're going to do. And if you, without looking at all the stats and effects, when you go to the advanced trial, this is one of the goals, the features of each module. When you get to advance, the gap between the campaign and the advance is like less than 25% increment, right? You get something that's like we can use the item level, right? 4,450 set worth of value, and then you get 4,800. That's like a 350, around 10%, right? We'll just use the raw item. But when you get to masters, it shoots all the way up to 5,250. Prior to the Dika thing and the Cryptic thing in the last two modules, the gap between advanced and masters what actually closed. It got closer to each other because to me it builds accolades. So it's more separated by skill, so to speak, right? And the merits. So instead of incentivizing players based on trying to separate them based on availability and accessibility, it's usually spoken for by the act of completing things. Now there's an even larger gap between the gear. So to me, that creates even more dissonance. So if you're here, you're always going to be here. Not only are you be able to compensate for whatever merit you have, there's a counter argument to why your merit exists in the first place. Like, this is a gigantic leap. Like, from here to here is a gigantic leap. So either you're in the country club and farming for this stuff, which last module was already unpopular by how rare things are. You're already in that. So making this extra valuable would communicate to me that yes, they are here to make the players that already play this game work harder and be rewarded for that hard work, to have something that allows them to alienate or unintentionally condescend against all the other values. So now when you're doing this, the value proposition is don't even bother with the campaign anymore. Like, if you can't get this at the end, there's no point. How does this what does this sound like? It sounds like a gacha game where the gacha is that you have to go full send or else it's not worth it at all. So now this works against free-to-play models growth. A free-to-play game typically tries to give you, when they're focused on growth, they try to focus on having 90% of the value tied to their investment of their gameplay, so that they would be willing to spend money or their extra time to get that extra 5% of bragging rights, the 5% of the elite. But to me, this communicates the opposite, where they basically crap dump or stats, lower scaling, lower rewards onto individuals who are not at the top. So to me, that is what I recently looked over the last 2 days, and I look at this and I'm like, it's the opposite now. So if there's anything I want to say about this rant is, respectfully, the people who already like this game, who play this game, who's providing the feedback, they're constantly going to say, hey, give us more that of the stuff that we already have accessible to, and that reflects this. it's not a game for growth. So if you're new and you're considering this, it's a big no. It's like a 2 out of 10 in design for anyone who wants to be interested in this game. You could love Dungeons and Dragons a lot, and I would still point you towards like Elden Ring, like ESO or something, because this is what happens when you take feedback exclusively from people you basically would be willing to, right? So it makes sense. It makes sense, and it's good business to know that your most loyal player base gives you the most feedback. And because of where that feedback comes from and where your design are and the philosophy lines up, this is expected. So I'm not particularly angry about it or anything like that. It's to be aware that what is the state of Neverwinter right now. They're here to preserve their existing players who are already happy, and they want to be even more happy with what they believe is what they want, which is many, many years of consistent habit formation. So better, stronger gear for completing up-end things. So now here we are, we're talking about something like a 7% forte, for example, and 2.5% defense, going up to an 8% forte and a 5% defense. Like, that is absolutely ridiculous, to the point where if you have these things, it doesn't matter if you have merit or not. Whoever don't have access to these things are either are not competitive. Even if they are very skill prone and stuff, they can still make a counter argument to this. That's like someone going around saying, I spent a lot of money on this, you know, the wallet warrior situation. You play a live service game and the wallet warrior will passively get a counter argument for having access to things the other person does not have. So that argument will consistently create conflict of interest against new players, against other players who or interested players. This is a design, and it goes true with all the armor, how the scaling is. It's so hyper aggressive now. So you've played this game already and you can do everything, you're happier than ever, which is good because the remaining players are just that. I think, as far as I know, the publishers or the developers don't seem like they really are interested in taking more risks and doing something different. They're scaling up and doubling down on keeping the existing player population satisfied. And that's the state of Neverwinter right now. So as I'm going through this, there's near zero chance, because of their asinine decision to constantly focus on trials or higher and higher requirements in a dwindling population. The population again is naturally decreasing, not actually anything unnatural. There's no like plummet or doomsaying. There's no mass exodus. But there's also no growth, and there's no intent of growth. If you're collecting feedback from everyone who only plays your game for a very long time, then yes, most of the feedback will turn into retaining what is existing, and rarely will it ever lead to growth. It'll lead to attrition. And because of this, like, this is irrelevant to me, but it will be an eyesore for the rest of the module, and it will be an eyesore for the rest of the module and the next module and the module after that. So the next dungeon, my radical idea is 1-player dungeon, 2-player dungeon, and 3 tops. Do the complete opposite. If people really want to flex their accolades and whatnot, accessibility has to go up. Like, in my opinion, this is like your pawn is filled with 50 people that you know, so you're not really upset with anyone because all 50 people agree to pat themselves. It's almost akin to price fixing. This is price fixing. the philosophy is everyone's in on it. So I don't see any reward or justification or the satisfaction of things that are completely internal, right? Like the difference between this and this is whoever's still around. The difference between this and this is whoever's still around. So you're clearly, whoever's still around is being favored and it's at the top. So that means new players, all that stuff. It's irrelevant. So I can't really recommend this game, even from, like, I like playing the stuff, right? It's great. I can't recommend it because the developer and the publisher are choosing to create actions that mean that the game is reaching its end of lifespan. It's end of service. This is end of service type of thing. You make as expensive and hard to obtain things as possible. And that's it. You either get there and feel satisfied with your conclusion, the game's not going to change anymore. That's great. And if it's EOS, then I'm EOS out of here, right? So we might be looking at the last thing. But we're going to go back into it. I just wanted to adjust the elephant in the room. So now I'm not going to bring it up anymore. Like, for the next couple days, we're going to see if we can get into a advanced dungeon queue for Soul Harvest, possibly. So I can show what the progress is. I saw the normal ones, and it's exactly what they described. The flow is like any other RTQ, where people run their face into the first thing they can see, and if they avoid all the auto fail parts, you are successful. And basically it was successful because you brute force through everything. There's no inclination to want to do anything more than that. And that's kind of the experience. We'll see if we can pick up an RTQ to show it. It was by chance when I was doing my random trial queue. Alright, that's a long preface, I know. It will save me time from having to repeat myself about like people's gear or something. I don't talk about gear anymore. Gear is like, it doesn't even incentivize merits anymore. So we're not gonna go over stats and whatnot. That's someone else's prerogative and priorities. It's not mine. You posted a new picture, Danny. Let me check what your new picture is. Aw, the whole family is there. Oh, that's what the mother looks like. Okay, potentially. Big ponytail, huh? Alright, alright. Looking good, looking good. Hope to see a character sheet sometime. Man, you haven't played this game since 2020? That's not too bad. 5 years? Yeah. Anyways, welcome. Alright, so this goes really fast, so we'll have time to yap a little bit more. For me, I guess I'm looking at this is shaping up to be the end of the 12-year tenure with this game. Like, I think we're kind of reaching the end where there really isn't much to talk about. I mean, I could also choose to play this in the background, but covering or sharing things is usually like beating a horse over the head or something, a dead horse over the head, where it's not exciting to share with people, in my opinion, because most of the content is not supposed to be exciting for sharing. It's exciting for the people who already play the game, and we have to make that clear. That is not a bad or a good thing. The vast majority of players who play this game are people who stayed with the game or have literally intentionally planned to return to the game at fixed times. This is a late stage live service game. most late stage live service games continue to be like, this is a natural progression. And I think Dika and Cryptic in this module, the way they're designing rewards and incentivizing people to stay and whatnot, and focusing who to keep, it is clearer than it's ever been. 2 years ago, I was still up in the fence, like, you know, they show evidence that, oh, they want to kind of get people to play this, like spread the word, trying to get new people to play this and whatnot. So they did a little quality of life here and there and design choices that could bring people back. Not anymore. Like last one was 70% there. This one, like 95%. There's no interest, in my opinion. Very little interest. And that's perfectly fine, because the game hasn't ever entered a growth phase, a secondary growth phase ever in its history. And that's playing now, you're playing to whoever, you're pandering to whoever exists now. That must be both assuring for the publisher and the current publisher. Neverwinter has changed hands a couple times already. And then the leadership that's currently existing in developers group. So maybe I'll look forward to coming back to a year or two from now and talk about the, I don't know, the legacy of Neverwinter Online, because I still remember the first day I played it, when it was still a one-time purchase founders game, right? Where with the foundry and all that stuff, I was here in the beginning, and maybe I'll keep in mind to do a conclusion to this. It's been a long time. This is the longest game since Atlantica Online. Atlantica Online, my tenure was over 10 years, and we kind of just stopped right at the 10-year mark. World of Warcraft wasn't even that long. It was like 3 years. From vanilla to Burning Crusade. RuneScape was like another 2 years before that. So this has recently eclipsed for a game that I had the longest tenure ever, right? And who knows? You get replaced. I mean, Overwatch was what, 4 or 5 years? League of Legends was like 5 or 6 years. Anyways, let's get into it. We want to advance our story, like the milestone from last time.
Things to do. Let's get them done.
That's not it. Right? Is it you?
You'd think a sealed dungeon owned by Zastam himself would provide something interesting to read. Well, evidently not.
Just kidding. I forgot. It's not till the second milestone. It's not till the second milestone there's new story. So so we're basically doing upkeep. So this will be really quick today. Let's first, as much as I don't think the music is carrying this right now. Let's go and put some background music. So this will be fast. This is I forgot. The milestone is actually at the end of the, so we don't have any like new audio and stuff. What happened in the first week is, let me start something. Some background. Okay, so what happened in the first week is Zuna came back, and the whole place was set ablaze, right? What was the place called? The Thayan outpost. It might have been Tartaros or something. Was set ablaze by Zastam, right? And Zuna came by to join you. So you went there. It was all scorched up, but then you met you know, the same person here, Koraya. who escaped, and then now we're in the backyards of Zasam's like location of the recent ritual, the previous ritual where he tried to ascend into godhood. So basically in the backyard of Zastam's place, and they're making some they're doing some reconnaissance. You retrieved a tome of some sort that relates to the ritual. Maybe it involves the soul harvest, right? The ritual that Zastam tried to do that failed, right? So right now you retrieved that book and gave it to Horaya, which is who is a red wizard who's trying to decipher what went wrong, because that might provide clues to stop him. But basically he's on a scorched earth path, and everyone's holding refuge, and then you're doing random tasks around to help with adjusting to things. So that's about where we are. Get a little cozy with some of the new locals. The biome is fantastic. I think the map is wonderful. Alright, so we're just gonna do our dailies basically. We're gonna do our weeklies and then wait for next week for the story to progress. And I do listen to the stuff. That's kind of the whole point of me playing these games. I'm not here to bootstrap gear and feel like rewarded for gear that is basically at the end of something. I don't think this game designs it functionally in a manner that the gear functions to complete things. The gear functions as a country club statement, like an elitism statement. So you get gear to show off. You don't get gear because you're doing something. That's the reason why I typically play this game, to hear the occasional voice actors who still continue to voice act, the developers who continue to make maps and design trials and dungeons. Unfortunately for the trial thing, I think it's pretty asinine because they invest so much resources into it, and I rarely ever get to appreciate it. So I'm sorry for that. Generally speaking, the people who are appreciating it, in my opinion, will probably appreciate it for the first couple hours before they break the trial. I feel like this game has gone down the path of not creating more subsystems, so they're not interested in expanding the game's growth or investing in any longer. It's more like maintaining the status quo, right? Usually when you're looking at live service games, the greatest indicator that they're continuing to invest is they're expanding their subsystems. There hasn't been a subsystem expansion in a very long time. I think the biggest subsystem expansion was actually back in mod 13 with Undermountain, when they overhauled the combat system, right? That was probably one of the biggest core systems, and then there were a couple more subsystems added afterwards. Not anymore. I think it's spinning the same things, and it's a natural course. All right, so I believe this is the activity stuff, right? This should be the completion of the activity, and then we'll pick up the heroic encounter. But the pacing is really good. I think the campaign stuff is awesome. Like this time around, the campaign stuff is really fun, but it also means that you do it very quickly and it's wonderful, but the end result is it leads up to something that is irrelevant to anyone who's like focused on, oh, you even have a historian quest. Dang, that's really fast. Anyways, so the trial is an eyesore, and how rewards work is an eyesore for anyone who is already not part of the club. That's kind of my thought about it. Not a good thing. If you're not the target audience, then it's a bad thing. If you're the target audience, then it's a good thing, right? And for myself, I'm stating these things from both sides, largely, or at least anywhere in between and whatnot, so I don't give people the false impression like, oh yeah, he's playing this game, it's a good game to get into. It's not. Neverwinter is not a good game to get into. If you're returning, maybe if you're a returning player who has played for like 5 or 6 years, possibly, because you already have resources and you know where the up and up. But in terms of quality of life changes and whatnot, you're not missing much either. So if you played for like 5 or 6 years and you're coming back, not much has changed. The developer is not interested, in my opinion, or maybe strong-armed by the new publisher to do different things. They are more about making the things that already work even better. So that has gotten better. So if you're someone who played in the last 5 years, across the last 5 years, that has gone better. Your epic years, your mythic years, they all matter more because they have higher stats, unachievable things. All of that is good for someone who's already playing the game. There's not much interest in new things. By sheer coincidence, I'm a person who likes playing these types of games because they change on a regular basis, not because they stay the same on a regular basis. So whenever a game goes into the end of life cycle kind of thing where they're just maintaining and churning along, I usually end up leaving the game. And it's pretty clear that there's very minimal chance that's going to change for Neverwinter. I stuck around for another like 2 or 3 years expecting that there was a change of leadership, and I wanted to see what happens with that change of leadership. But that's when Dika came into the picture, and even before then, I was about to leave, and then they had another change in leadership. But that person came and gone, and then, you know, I stuck around to see what the change of leadership would do, and every subsequent change of leadership kept leading to one really strong conclusion, that whoever the publisher owner is, they're not interested in making the game exciting for newcomers, like exciting to set waves. They're more interested in, let's just ride this out. And that's very, very fine with actually the majority of players. So anyone who's already here, the vast majority of the players are in it to ride out to the sunset, right? All right. So we got 25 from the activity. Very short, very short. I'm only doing one character this time around because I'm kind of, there's nothing in, like, in terms of the actual feeling and hopefulness of the game, there's really not much here other than finishing the campaign. So I'll enjoy the campaign as much as I can, and the trial, it's irrelevant to me. There's no reward, no camaraderie. There's very little incentive other than maybe I can catch it once or twice and then show what it is, right? It's kind of very diminishing, I know. My perspective is that I'm not the target audience. So yeah. Let's see. So we got 25 immediately, and then we can do the heroic encounters for another 25. And then we can do the one task, the weekly from last time, where it's the thing on fire, right? So let's do this for the immediate 25. So we're reliving historian, so right here, which gives us 25, so that's 50. I don't mind doing a lot of tasks for the campaign if the campaign reflected the amount of time. So naturally, now it's so easy, so much easier. The pacing is so nice for the campaign, and the rewards, you know, how they justify the reward design is to make the rewards less reflect the effort, right? And that makes sense. So what they're trying to tell you is that master's trials, being able to get the high of the high and be in the elite of the elite, is what you're supposed to play this game for, which makes sense because the vast majority of the players are there. I happen to be not one of them anymore, despite playing this game for a very long time. Doesn't necessarily guarantee that you're going to be part of that perspective where hey, give me all the gear and then so I can show it off to my buddies who also have the same gear, because everyone is in the same group. Pandering. To me, that's not a challenge. That's more like somewhat of a nepotistic way of preserving hierarchy, right? So that's perfectly not my jam. That's basically not my jam. I don't think challenges come from providing feedback on the challenges that are giving you the challenges. Like, you are inherently determining the rewards that keep you doing the thing, that you keep you wanting to do the thing. You're not learning anything. So I don't gain too much from that. I enjoy playing new games because I'm not the person where they're getting the feedback. They are creating the challenges that you either like it or you don't, but stepping up to the challenge of making it work is the thing. And there's a bug here where you have to double back to cause the trigger, so that's why I walked backwards. Yeah, not for everyone, obviously. My challenge is to have someone do something without relying on making it meet my expectations. Because if they typically exceed my expectations or defy my expectations, it creates a challenge. Again, it's not who's right or who's wrong about challenges. I just happen to be someone who loves learning things, learning to like things or things that I don't have control over. So I don't usually voice my discontent. And that can be useful for publishers and developers if they have a open-minded community. But I don't think this community is open-minded. It's actually the opposite of open-mindedness. And open-mindedness doesn't mean that it guarantees happiness or harmony. I just happen to like to resonate with a community that the whole theme of the game is to constantly switch it up. Like, for example, I am one of those individuals who would love that they switch up combat and overhaul the core battle system like once every 2 years. If not once every 1 year. The core battle system hasn't changed for 10 years now. Not really 10 years. I lied. Has it been 10 years? No, it's like been 6 or 7 years. So different type of player, different type of interest and challenge. Being for like character classes being completely overhauled so that you have to play different, that's where I'm at. I enjoy that. Merit comes from having to reset and then leveraging all your legacy abilities to adapt to the new circumstances. Not incremental upgrades based on your own feedback to determine that you're right. Like, oh, hey, my class needs a boost or something. It's like, see, it's so much better. I know I'm right. Yeah, but you didn't learn anything. You just gave feedback on what you wanted to see. You didn't rise to any new challenge. And then whenever they think about talking about these trials being more challenging, the community that they're looking at, the community that they're catering to, I'm going to be really honest, those things are probably not challenging for them because it's within their expectations. They're not being challenged without their foresight or forethought. It's constantly with their feedback. So it's going to fall within their capabilities. Heck, sometimes it would be kind of funny to have the developers make something that is so off to the left field that it would take the whole month to figure out how to even work around it. I miss those days. That was like World of Warcraft days. I'm sure World of Warcraft kind of still feels that way now, I think. Alright, so we did 50, right? So that's 2. And then now we're going to do the heroic encounters to get our 75. And then we do 5 repeatables, which were the same from first week. And then we call it a day. And then, or we call it a day for the campaign. Then I guess I'll try to queue up for an RTQ and see if we can land on Soul Harvest. And that'll be a wrap for today. Relatively short. It's a reflection of how much content is actually relevant to me, right? The trial is not that. Trial is like 3% value. And it's pretty disappointing to me because that's what they think is the most attractive thing about the game. And that's probably true for most of their player base. It's not to me. I think even trying to be excited about the trial is very low priority. I'm excited about this stuff and I think it's good. Like the new map, the campaign pace, it's awesome. I think it's an improvement. It's a shame that's overshadowed by the disproportionate like 70 to 80% value base placed on the trial. So they must have done a lot for the trial. Whether I see it or not is obviously not my point to say. You can probably find someone else who's been doing this for a while who's interested in that to do that. Meanwhile, I'm gonna go and work on other skills, right? Like language learning and playing other games. I'm waiting for a train call, so it looks like 22 seems not possible. 25. A bunch of banter. It'll be interesting. I think 2 years. 2 years left. Around there. Dear me, if they go through with Neverwinter Classic, that's... I think that's kind of a joke at this point. Oh, dang it. 3 seems okay. Okay. I only see calls for 3 and 25 or 22. Anything on 25? This is the routine. Let's go to 25. Oh. That didn't work. How about number 5? I don't see any 5. It looks like whatever this thing is not very popular. Whatever their new... What do you call this? I guess the this would be more like Avernus. Avernus stuff. Apparently it takes a very long time. I guess the most recent one was the Moon Dancer one, the invasion gauge. Let's see what 3 has. Where are we at 13? Doesn't look too promising, that's for sure. We need to bring the guy into the circle, basically. I feel like Peeps just started something that they can't finish. Pretty sure this is the spirit, right? I don't think you can't complete this within the timer. Yeah, because there's still 3 more fragments. I'm heading out. Okay. I was kind of hoping I could catch a endless experiment to see what that's like. I doubt they're still going here. think this path is really pretty to look at, but boy, is the path very, very difficult. Like, what I mean is, this is very long. Awesome to look at, though. I mean, I doubt it. Yeah, yeah. I abandoned it for, maybe we shouldn't even bother with heroic encounters either. Boy. Hello there, Xing Xing. How are you? What are you up to? Yeah, I think we're just gonna do two sets of eatable. In pain because your ankle and wrist hurt from bowling. Besides that, didn't quite wrist pain. Suspicious. All right, we're just gonna do the repeatables. I think waiting on heroic encounters is kind of a butt. You know, pretty business as usual at the moment. Continue on language learning, covering Neverwinter here. Complete. What did I complete? Oh, it's probably. I have no idea what was complete. Yeah, I spent a lot of time in the background talking to people. Lots of problems. I have lots of problems. So what do you do after a bowling session? Do you go bowling regularly? I mean, Australia is kind of a hot ticket for bowling, considering for a while who was one of the representatives of bowling. I'm not sure how familiar you are with Australia and representative of bowling. You went bowling for your birthday gathering of friends? Oh, okay. So is that a rare thing? Or is that a common form of recreation? First time in 5 years? Oh, okay. How was it? What was it? Broke your nail end of the first game, couldn't do the second. Oh, well now. So reasonably well, right? Is that what you're trying to tell me? Reasonably well? Oh, okay. This didn't do this daily yet. Repeatable. This seems pretty reasonable if that's where this guy's kind of chonky. What the heck? Why are you so chonky? I think this is gonna be an S tier if it ends right here. We largely had, what, 1 B, like 2 A's and 2 S's, maybe 3 A's. Really agreeable. You ended up 3rd for the first game? Solid. Pretty good? I see. Your friends, were they bowlers at all? I don't know if you got my reference, but Belmonte, I believe he's Australian. He was like the #1 bowler, two-handed bowler actually, and for some time in the PBA. I used to bowl. So and then I watch bowling. That's a fast one. That's an S tier. All right, this treasure one is like A tier. I wonder if it's always in the same position. Like here, this is the where. Oh, it is in the same position. Oh, this might be S tier then. Because then you go over here. No, they are more crafty people. Oh, crafty people than sports? Ah, okay, okay. Third sounds like nice. Was it this? I don't think it was this location. Oh yeah, it was this. Please let me target this. Also, you don't follow bowling competitions, so no clue. Yeah, I dabbled. I like looking at sports statistics in various places. So occasionally you kind of get wrapped up. I need to unalive some unalive. I need to unalive the unalive here. There we go. Let's go turn these in. The repeatables are super agreeable, so we don't have to do counters. So, what do you do for Christmas? Did I ask this already? What was the plan for Christmas? I know you mentioned recently you came back from your getaway. You mostly follow F1, soccer league, and recently a bit of horse racing. Well, that's kind of a left field. Nice. Right now, I follow track and field. Track and field. Disc golf. Actually, that's it. I haven't watched too many things. Largely, most things deal with language learning at this point. Oh, so the task immediately recycles. Wait, I didn't get the treasure? What the heck? I thought I picked up the treasure. Can it be empty? Oh, no. Weird. Was this always empty? Something? No, it wasn't. Huh. Wow, so you can repeat the things immediately. Just do... Oh, you could repeat... Oh, they're separated too. So you can do the two fastest tasks and just repeat that. Well, that kind of makes it very underwhelming. I'm guessing it's always in this location. So not doing the ghost tiers is probably good. We can cut out ghost tiers. Oh, there is a bit of difference. Like stabilizing the war takes a while. Okay, so there is some... That was just coincidence. Yeah, that's just coincidence. For Christmas, you got a dinner on Saturday, going to a water light show made by the biggest casino in Australia, I believe, and other than that, no clue. A water light show. That reminds me of Las Vegas's, what was it called? The Belvedere show. When you visit Vegas, you usually check out the fountain in front of the... Don't quote me on it. I think it's called the Belvedere. It's like all the casinos have a thing, and there's this one very stereotypical or iconic, I guess, casino with a very large fountain pool in front of it, and does a light show with water. And when you mention casino, that's kind of what it reminded me of. It's in Riverfront in front of Crown Casino last year. It was water show with lights and music. Yeah, that checks out about my impressions. We might as well do so. This is where we just stand on a circle. Maybe. I'm gonna stand here for a moment and then we'll... Oh, it's not Belvedere. It's Bellagio. Yeah, it's the Bellagio in Las Vegas. I only remember the B part, but Yeah, if you ever look up the MGM, the Fountains of Bellagio, it's basically you just walk by, it's on the strip, on the Las Vegas strip. There's music and occasionally there's some boats involved. And the fountains are kind of like somewhat, they're synchronized to the large fountain squirting water everywhere and whatnot. Very neat. How common are casinos as a form of recreation? A Meyer store where they got different Christmas displays. Here there's something. There are theme parks. There are theme parks that during the winter time, since they're closed, right? Like most theme parks are closed for the winter time. Their grounds and stuff can often be used to have light shows. Something like a drive-through light show is a thing in the local area. So where I live, there's a lot of land, and those open lands and farmlands and whatnot, they can be used for other things. Like Halloween would be corn, hay rides and whatnot. And those same fields can be converted into drive-through light shows. So you basically just drive through and be surrounded by in unnecessary like wonderland of excess lights. The one that I usually refer to as Candy Lane and is put out by Hershey Park. Yeah, that same Hershey Park. It's kind of cute. You stay in your car, of course, and you slowly drive, and then all the light displays and stuff and the arcs tell you where to go, right? And you just follow the lights. I did it like a couple of times when friends were still around. When I was still socializing. What is this one? I don't remember doing this task. You don't know if Melbourne has anything like that? Does it get particularly dark? Oh, I would imagine Melbourne is pretty dang beautiful right at night. That'd be kind of neat. Yeah, if you're interested in what it looks like, I think if you type Candy Lane Hershey. If you type Candy Lane Hershey and look up images, probably give you an example. Oh, yeah, there's like plenty of examples of what it may look like. Oh, actually, maybe it's called Sugar Lane. Pretty sure. Oh, it's called Sweet Lights. The actual part is called Sweet Lights. Yeah. So it's called Sweet Lights. Candy Lane or Candyland or Sweet Lights. Yeah. So you drive through. I don't remember even paying. I think you have to pay for entry. It's like $5 or something. And then you carpool, you jam as many of your friends into a vehicle as possible to make it a gag. And you just drive through lights. It's cold, so being in the car is nice. You don't even have to get out of your vehicle. But back in Netherlands, there was a town that did that. Oh yeah. What you call it? Whenever you're in like the people's residential areas, it's kind of, that's what this is supposed to try to simulate. it's supposed to simulate like you driving through people's houses, you know, like in a neighborhood where everyone decorated their houses with lights and whatnot. So driving through the neighborhood, you'll see everyone's houses kind of lit up and whatnot. Crown Christmas River Show is what the show is called. Crown Christmas River Show. Oh, wow. Yeah, that's very similar to the Bellagio, but I think Melbourne's like Bay Area, like it's an actual, you know, it's an actual open water thing. The Bellagio is a self-contained man-made fountain. That looks amazing. The little dome in the middle reminds me of, I don't know if you've ever seen Vegas's, like, I forgot what it's called. The Vegas, like, I haven't been to Vegas when they put this up, but like the globe thing, the globe show, I think it's just called Sphere, right? The Vegas Sphere. It kind of reminds me of combining that little thing in the middle of the Crown Christmas River Show. That structure reminds me of the one with the eyes. Yeah. Yep. It reminds me of, you have a structure in the middle and then you have some fountains and stuff. That sounds like a lot of fun. Do you typically do this as a tradition? Oh, you see in the F1 races. Oh yeah, that's right. That's right. I occasionally watch F1. I feel like I watch more Le Mans, and they just happen to have F1s in them. Do you watch Le Mans? I imagine that's like, well, yeah, of course, kind of situation. Okay, where are we at? Are we at complete? No, we have to do one more. So let's just do one more. Yeah, repeatables are definitely much quicker than encounters. Let's just take out a couple of these guys. 15. Are there 15 of you in here? This here is your second here, so you're still looking around for what to do during the festivals. I see. I know this sounds like, well, yeah, duh situation, but is Christmas a big festival time for Australia? So, I don't usually take it for granted to make assumptions about these things, so I don't know how big it is. Okay. Here, yeah, like today when I went out to do some running, all the houses already have like giant inflatable snowmans, and, like giant inflatable frosties and whatnot. It goes without saying, I suppose. They started in November, yeah. Oh, they started in November. Interesting. Does anything happen in November? Like, what I mean is there something you celebrate in November in Australia? Because the US does this weird thing, right? Right at the end of October is Halloween, and then Halloween has often this festive thing which merges and slides into Thanksgiving, American Thanksgiving, and then right when Thanksgiving, like Black Friday, is over, immediately the Christmas decorations go up. Like today was the 1st of December, right? Immediately, like overnight, when I got out and ran, Christmas decorations are so it's like a rapid fire. a week before Halloween things go up, and immediately it goes into fall, into Thanksgiving. So you have pumpkins, but not like the Halloween pumpkins and whatnot. And then suddenly, immediately, Christmas things go up. It's like clockwork. End of October, end of November, then end of December. You've seen Santa already 6 times now? Oh, okay. November start. Oh, I see. That's cute. End of year kind of makes me really sappy, so I like hearing about these things. Chair, the Christmas chair. All right, so what do you get for this? Just get a boon? Oh, you get a boon unlock, and then... All right, so we're done with our dailies. We're not gonna move our... So I thought we were gonna get some dialogue, but it's not until next week, so we'll wait. This would unlock the trial, but let's go and go to the Protector's Enclave and see if we can hit a RTQ and show off the new trial. Usually when a new trial starts, it has like a statistically more likely chance of start showing up. So we'll queue or see if anyone is doing RTQ and see if we can see Soul Harvest. Is it called Soul Harvest? Let's see. Yeah, it's called this. Yeah, we don't have that. It's Halloween. Melbourne Cup. Which one is Melbourne Cup? Like, which one? Sometimes I watch the Australian Open. I used to watch tennis. Singles, male single tennis. So occasionally I would watch the Australian Open. Along with like Roland Garros, Wimbledon, and the New York Open, or the U.S. Open. I suppose. The Open in New York's like the Grand Slam stuff. As far as you know of those 3, I see. Tell me, okay. Tell me something about Australia's festivals that would be unique to Australia that you have discovered. Melbourne Cup is the biggest horse racing day. Oh, okay. It's also a public holiday because of it. Oh, that's neat. Never mind. You already answered the question. Melbourne Cup. That is definitely something that would be kind of a thing. I will have to put it on my list if I ever consider, like, in the near future. Boxing Day? Is that the Christmas thing? Boxing Day exists too here, I think. People do Boxing Day here. Not sure if they're Australian or anything like that, but unless it's something else. The day after Christmas? Yeah, Boxing Day. Yeah. How about something outside of the Christmas time? Like in the beginning of the year or something like that. Or middle of the year. Wait, does Australia have an Independence Day? I don't know a lot about Australia, so pretty much anything goes. You can probably just shoot and see what sticks. Boxing Day is familiar. Boxing Day. That's a coincidence. The Melbourne Cup thing, that's definitely different. Anzac Day. What do you do on Anzac Day? Oh, that's what it's called, Australian Day. Oh, okay. And when is that? I don't remember. Or I don't actually know enough to even comment. Yeah, I talked about American Thanksgiving recently. American Thanksgiving is actually a time that if people are not averse to the slightly older weather, so to speak, Thanksgiving is a really wonderful time to see a part of, like, between Christmas and Thanksgiving. That's something that is awesome. The food might not be for everyone, but there's just something very wholesome about it. The ritualistic traditions of multi-generational Americans and American Thanksgiving, or contemporary American Thanksgiving. There are quite a lot of cynicisms from foreigners about American Thanksgiving's symbolism. Anzac Day is basically remembering everyone that died serving Australia, right? NZ and Tonga. Okay. That reminds me of Memorial Day, which happens in May in the United States. I'm not sure if it's always on the 27th. I think it's always on the 27th. Yeah, Memorial Day, honoring all the veterans and those who have passed, and those who usually it's those who have passed. Oh, it doesn't look like I'm gonna get into RTQ anytime soon. This is the experience. When you're around this time frame, the chances of being able to do most of these things are little to no chance. Okay, hold up. We got someone from the Alliance, I guess. Or they just don't respond to me at all. I guess that's fine. Oh, that was 3 minutes ago, actually. Never mind. I probably found what they were looking for. Australian Day is officially a time for Australians to reflect on their history, celebrate contemporary Australia. I wonder what that is like. And acknowledge the contribution of all Australians, according to Google, but this day is 50-50 because of the indigenous people. Understandable. What is considered the indigenous people of Australia at the moment in contemporary Australia? My closest experience is the Maori people in New Zealand. Would be the, I don't know if the term still is being used, but the Aborigines. We're gonna give this another 4 minutes. If this doesn't pop or someone doesn't call for an RTQ in the next 4 or so minutes, I'm probably gonna head off. Oh, okay. Let's see if we randomly get Soul Harvest. Usually it has a higher chance of popping onto the new trial. I think it's pretty deliberate. Not that it's written anywhere. You have to acknowledge them everywhere. Everything whenever you present something or go somewhere. Oh, okay. Oh, it's the same group? Like the Pacific Islander groups? Like maybe even Samoans or something like that? Oh, Samoan nature. Some Pacific Islander group. Intriguing. I'm basically like making a list now. In the next, Aboriginals are a lot of tribes. Okay, okay, you're using okay. Oh, it's a term about Aboriginals. Okay, yeah. 3 of them. I see. Nope. Got Tiamat. We tried. So I guess we'll try next week to show to try to show the RTQ version of Soul Harvest. And then I'll give it like 10 minutes at Protector's Enclave to try to pick up a advanced one. And I doubt people will sit here at this time frame to do an advanced trial. We'll see. It happened last time. Did we do an advanced version of... No, we actually didn't. So we didn't even get a chance to show the advanced version. We did catch an RTQ last time for the part 1 Soul Harvest, but I didn't do the advance on stream. It's illustrating my point that every time they prioritize doing these type of things, they're basically not taking into consideration how accessible it is because of people. Or the availability of people. If you search up a map from there, you can see 3 of them. I see. I'll take a look at that a little bit later. How large is their relative population still? Kind of curious. Do they have representation? I remember, I don't know if it was with you or someone else, but I remember talking about this when it was... I brought Maori up before. Oh, something about... It was a government related thing. Looks like this is gonna go fairly quickly. Oh, my face. Dang, what a timing on that one. In 2021, about 1 million. I see. Yeah, expect the number to grow again. Oh, intriguing. Dear me. Please, guys. Since they got a lot of saying now everywhere. I see. So there is quite a lot of representation. Okay. Dang. Have you interacted with any of them? There was one time, by coincidence, I, based on where I used to live and whatnot, that I've interacted with Native Americans. Or, children of Native Americans. But actually, I don't think I've ever visited, like, been directly, in a, like a preserve or like a, what do you call them? There's a particular terminology for them. But I guess a preserve is close enough to the meaning. I'm a little bit ignorant of. I'm definitely one that do not have extensive experience with Native Americans. I know that some of my classmates, by sheer coincidence, were of Native American descent. You haven't? Your fiance does a lot because of their work. Oh, okay. Honestly, you are still learning about their culture since you have to know it to become a citizen. Oh, intriguing. That's very neat. We in the United States, you are not required. Like, outside of understanding the context of their of Native Americans with respect to like colonialism, right? I mean, honestly, there's also not much attention paid to British relations either. It's not to say that that's indicating like whether there's a willingness or not. It's more like if you're given a lot of time, there's only so much time or an interest for those little youngins to be interested in that much history. So oftentimes it's kind of scattered around, and the priority is the country you live in, so, or the contemporary situation. I think I shared a little bit about what was expected from my, oh, it was when I was talking with Churn and stuff because of Malaysian systems, like what type of history are they responsible for and whatnot. And we were talking about knowing countries and capitals and landmarks around the world. Mostly some of those things are distributed among all the rest of the countries, so oftentimes there's little bleeps here and there. You do get to learn about like 4 or 5 very notable Native Americans, largely, and it's largely because they are preserved as fixtures with the colonial periods of American history. And of course, growing up having Chinese parents, it's kind of a weird mix emotions, mix ambivalence, since technically most of the cultural things that are personally relevant aren't necessarily American either, as well, like colonial American. They're more relevant in terms of its contemporary Americanism. Like being aware of being aware of contemporary America involves being aware of Asian Americans, Black Americans, Hispanic Americans. So that type of education is far more prioritized, contemporary Americans, because there's a lot. It's quite astonishingly a lot. So oftentimes it's not necessarily due to disinterest, but more so how much do you want children to cram about the representation in the United States, right? It's one of those things like, oh, okay, so you're choosing education, so that means you need education about all the immigrants in the United States. I'm not entirely sure how that school system would be, but it would certainly take probably a lifetime to be able to be well educated in all the representation in the United States. When you went to Phillip Island, you learned a lot about their lifestyle and also Australians' part in the Vietnam War. Ah, I see. Yeah, I'm not sure how it feels when you're like, obviously you said you've been there for 2 years. I'm not even sure how it feels when, in terms of growing up in Australia and learning about migrants, right? Because Australia is technically a migrant, is also migrant place. And then New Zealand was a migrant of that migrant place. When I was in New Zealand, I was learning about the relationship between like English colonialism and Australian migrants. So like there was this map where, you know, you see that the funneling, the further you kind of funnel away from China, for example, like the mainland, there's this like somewhat of a, I would say, a relatable perspective in how the migrants went to the United States, right? Where there's this historical stereotyping of being derivatives and lessers, and oftentimes that creates a stigma, a social stigma that has relational aspects. Like the United States it still happens on the internet every single day, where whenever when they talk about in migrant aspects like heritage and nationalities and whatnot, they're often cheapened by those who are originators, right? So, and then New Zealand and Australia also had a bit of that, especially from the New Zealand perspective, where you have like the interaction between a migrant from Australia down further south, and the interaction from migrants from the English government, right? The UK, the colonialism, and then the United States very similarly, as well as migrants from other countries to the United States have that similar relationship sometimes. It's often now seen as a desensitized internet joke, sort of. I for the new generation, because they're very separated apart now. Like now, for the younger generation, there's a very identifiable property of like Americans, Australians, and New Zealand, but those who are still in their 40s, like the millennials, like myself, it's still felt that history and heritage and stuff like that has largely passed us now. Like it's past us. So the younger generation now interpret stereotypes, memes, and like stigma and all those things, and they internalize it. Because history, well, as much as I enjoy history, because my parents' heritage is, I'm still tied to multiple heritages. I think nowadays it's become more of an identity crisis through stereotyping online, and a lot of it retained the derivative stereotype, migrant stereotype, and I feel like Australia and New Zealand kind of resonates with that. Your fiance, his dad escaped Vietnam in the war to Australia, so it was interesting to see Australia's part in it. Okay. Yeah. Your father has a tie with migrants, right? Like forced refugee and things like that. Interesting. New Zealand had this history, someone was explaining it with theirs, where they New Zealanders, like Kiwis, we're talking specific about Kiwis and not Maori, but Kiwis have this like kind of a stigma where they were, to put it, they were the people who couldn't make it, or like the kind of like the criminals and the thieves that escaped to find opportunity elsewhere, that kind of stereotype. And that's what I heard about the underlying animosity, but they're kind of growing out of it because the contemporary population is no longer attached to that. And I feel the United States is obviously a blend of that too. There are particular representations that still have that stigma with their counterparts, if that's even considered offensive or not. Typically it's considered like a point of pride to not be associated. So you get this dynamic of where you are from versus where you currently contemporarily reside. And that discussion happens a lot when you happen to be the offspring of migrants. And I think those type of discussions bring a very different dynamic to those who grow up having very prideful and nationalistic viewpoints on their identity. Oftentimes people, when I talk to people, maybe like you, right, Xing, the moment it's very identifiable that you might have came from a migrant situation is often when we talk about these things. Like, you are learning about the lifestyle of the Aborigines people and stuff. I'm not saying Australians don't do this. The way they talk about it and motivate themselves to do it, it's kind of reflective of their social situation. And for me, it's very endearing to talk about these things. I recently met a French person. I think a French person who we had a bit of a direct conflict of interest, because this particular French person, I believe they were Algerian in migrant descent, and they were trying to present French's case for colorblindness, right? To use colorblindness as a way to promote diversity. And I was trying to share an alternative perspective, which is where the United States has gone through phases of this, and they both coexist in different dynamics, which is the idea of, do you participate in colorblindness to reach equity or equality between different representations, or do you raise awareness of it in order to better understand it to reach equity? So it appears like you're giving me the impression that Australia is more for the latter. So in the United States, it's kind of a bit of a mix right now, like a 50-50. It's often a 50-50 in the United States when it comes to like grand general majority. However, from my perspective, I tend to lean on the idea that raising awareness and understanding the things, as opposed to turning a blind eye and pretending that it doesn't exist, is a great way towards understanding togetherness and equity. The other person who was French, I guess Algerian French, they were trying to communicate as though I don't understand that to raise the differences of people can also be weaponized to be used to create segregation and inequality. And that is true. But the other side is also true. If you are colorblind to things, then inequity continues as well. Right? So humans have this really long, is an interesting dynamic between things that are different, right? Whether you choose to appreciate the differences or not, or you choose to pretend they don't exist, and either or can work and they coexist. And that's when I recently learned about a little bit. I educated myself on how fervent French colorblindness is, like how their policy of colorblindness. There is this was raised because Chern, who's from Malaysia, also being a younger representative, mentioned something along this line where the government can present regulations and laws that promote colorblindness as opposed to promoting the opposites. And it sounds like in Australia, from what you're saying to me, obviously I'm not implying that everyone agrees, and I haven't met a lot of Australians, right? And especially one that has only recently lived in Australia. It, from how you share, it seems like I resonate with that. The idea of raising awareness and being familiar and being interested in that nature is what can create togetherness and communication, as opposed to pretending like everyone is the same. Like you can probably feel this is a very touchy subject because in both cases you can probably find counter arguments by cherry picking the bad actors. If you think there are differences, that means you can't possibly come together as humans and understand as humans while appreciating the differences. You can weaponize the differences if you know the differences. But if you choose to ignore things, those differences will go ignored. So that would exacerbate those that already act upon those differences in ignorance. Such an interesting thing. Thank you for the share. I'll have to look in more into Australian makeup. I do want to go to Melbourne sometime. Melbourne. Visit the Opera House. I know that sounds very stereotypical, but I would totally be floored to want to see a performance at the Opera House, the Sydney Opera House, as well. I know they're not the same thing, but there are things that very bucket list things comes to Australia. All right, folks, and going to Australia Outback, obviously. All right, folks. Yeah, that's a wrap for Neverwinter today. Yap sessions, you're also interested in the history of different places, especially if it's something about where you are or where is around you, but about learning history for the citizen is a fact because it's on their site. I see. You've never been to the Opera House? Yeah, I want to see like a great performance. Like, I have a background in somewhat contemporary classical music, and it would be wonderful to listen to an orchestra, maybe even a performance, like a grand performance, once in a lifetime thing. Go to the Opera House to hear it. Yeah, to hear a performance. Live music, especially orchestral and symphonic performances, it's indescribable. It's quite indescribable. As a last share about this, I remember in high school we went to Canada, and we were performing for like the school orchestra and stuff, but we were able we were able to go and watch the performance of a Broadway show. So it was Mamma Mia, and it was in this like, now Canada is not that old, right? But it was such a beautiful opera house, and the way the opera, like the theater room was done, like it was so steep. Like the way the acoustic worked for the music is something inexplicable. It's kind of like transformative. Opera houses and performance houses, they're designed in a way that creates a experience that, sure, you can kind of mirror it in some extent, like electronically, but it is a really wonderful feeling. Like like for example, out as a personal share, you haven't been to the opera house. You might go in 2 or 3 years. I haven't been to Broadway. Like I'm born in New York City. Like I'm from New York City, and I haven't been to a Broadway show. Like I haven't even walked in Madison Square Garden. Like in the city of my birthplace. So I'll definitely let you know if I come to Melbourne. We're gonna travel soonish. It's gonna be another 2 or 3 years because my mother has decided that, yeah, she's gonna try to stick it out until retirement. So for the next 2 or 3 years, we'll try to plan things and then do a little bit of traveling while my parents are retired and able to finally do so. It seems like both my parents are really stubborn. They're stubborn workers. Like my father has since retired because he's reached the retirement age, but his health is largely why he's retired early, like a year or two. But he just recently turned 65, so he's legally retired. Like what I mean by legally is the typical age of retirement for his generation, but he's still stuck in his ways. So until my mother reaches retirement, oftentimes I can't see myself traveling too often given my parents' state. So one day we're just gonna travel around. Hello there. Oh, hello there, Turnip. Did you change your name? Is that way? I haven't been in your stream for a very long time, and no, how's it going? We're about to end this segment, so we did our weekly hauls for today. Or for this week. But yeah, we've been pretty well. We're chatting a little bit at the end of the stream with a fellow person I know from language learning. How's it going? We've been language learning the last couple years. You know, the last 2 years we've been learning Chinese and Japanese, learning how to read and speak. So that's what's going on. How have you been? Yeah, new account name. New account, same name, just numbers on each end. Oh, I see. What happened to your other account? Should I be asking what happened to your other account? If it's too personal, perfectly welcome. We're yapping at the end. This is our yap. And Neverwinter is all right now. We're covering what might be the last time I'm going to cover Neverwinter. Maybe we'll cover the next one and that'll be the last one. But we're kind of putting a bow on the Neverwinter online thing. We only do this once a week. I don't know when was the last time we spoke, but it's only once a week. For like 10 days, 10 weeks. You left Twitch and most social media 4 or 5 years ago? Oh, okay, that long ago. Interesting. So it's a pure coincidence that... Yeah, it's a really really rare coincidence because it's like there's only 20 days of the year that I would be doing this, and at a very specific time frame too. So that's kind of humorous, or humorously So what is it that bring you back to social media and Twitch? Have you reinvented yourself in some way in the last 4 to 5 years? Is that what we're talking about here? Well, welcome back if you're having a hold on your life and whatever's going on. 4 to 5 years can transform quite a lot of people. So hopefully for whatever reason it is that you separate yourself from Twitch or most of social media, your life is going well, I hope. And everything else, mentally and stuff. You started playing Neverwinter again a few months ago. Wanted to see some old Twitch friends earlier this year. Ah, I see. I hope you found them. So you hopped on. I see. Yeah. I mean, Neverwinter is, if they were old players, they're probably still around. I am probably putting a end, like this is probably the end situation. Yeah. I see. What a coincidence. Hopefully everything else is doing well. I'm not entirely sure why you need a new account if you divorce yourself. You just switch from console to PC? Oh. Well, I hope you got all your PC shopping sorted before before this recent before going into next year, I suppose. Yeah. Well, here I am. Not much to really share about Neverwinter. I can give you the TLDR from my perspective. My TLDR is Dika / Cryptic, the people who manages now and maintains, right? Still, under the new publisher, I suppose, whatever the new publishing group is at this point. They are very, very set in maintaining people who either played this game for quite some time, have some attachment to this game, or they are currently still attached to this game, however long it'll be, and that's their design. So basically not much changes over time, and if you like not much change and you want to revisit and rekindle nostalgia, definitely give Neverwinter a try. Other than that, in terms of new things, I don't think Neverwinter has any for the time. Generally speaking. You're gonna go and read some books again? Yeah, take care, Xing Xing. Good luck on your romantasy arc in your life. Yeah, I'm also heading out now, turnip. Or I was just yapping a little until taking advantage of the company. I hope your return and your PC things are going well. Maybe we'll talk next Monday or a week from now. I'll be back for another eight coverages. This is day 2 of 10. So every Monday I'll try to do what I've been doing the last couple of years, I suppose. Usually for an hour or two. Yeah, 4 years of content catch up on. All right, have fun. Yeah. Oh, 4 years of content? Yeah, true. No. Let me know how your content. Yeah, let me know how your content catch up is going. Maybe next week or something. Until then. Right. All right, guys. We're wrapping up here for the second week of Neverwinter, module 32. And as expected, right? As expected, business as usual. Technically, the second milestone unlocked new story dialogue and stuff, which we'll do next week. Because I always wait till next week, because the weekly hauls are unfortunately always at the end of something, the milestones. I already talked about my bit about how this is a game that has a developer and a publisher that's clearly trying to preserve nostalgia and all the players that currently exist. So it is not casual friendly forward. It is not looking for places to expand optics and, you know, take a new direction. So if you like consistency and you've already had like 3 or 4 years of experience and you like archaic, right? Specifically archaic design that doesn't jive with the new standards of live service and whatnot and changing things, this is the game for you to try or come back to. Largely, this game is not something to try. It's a game to come back to. So like if you're someone who's constantly going back to OG RuneScape, that's kind of the person I'm talking about. So that's I want to say and emphasize this for now because I'm probably going to de-emphasize this for later. There's not much other than I use these sessions to do the thing I do, and then I yap with other people, and typically it's about random topics in case people talk about it. It is a bit 2016, isn't it? Yeah. Actually, I'm going to be honest with you. It doesn't feel that much different from 2013 when I was part of beta. It doesn't feel that different from 2013. So if you want a slice of 2013 to 2016, go for it. Like it's for returning nostalgia seekers. This game has been arrogantly and proudly, probably, and now for sure, under Dika's management system and Cryptic, it is for sure going to keep holding on to its guns. So if you're a traditionalist and you don't like the bells and whistles of new live service games, you know, like I'm playing a gacha live service game, Phantom X, right? Persona 5 Phantom X. If you're not into like Genshin Impact, and all the newer live service things, they're sticking to their guns. So if you're looking for that, that's probably the narrow window that I'm thinking of. The population isn't going up, it's slowly going down, but it's a natural going down because nostalgia is very strong. So occasionally those people stay. And if you like your hamburgers, for example, if you love your hamburger and you think it can't get any better, and you just want another piece of that hamburger, Neverwinter, great example. I mean, dear me, if they do Neverwinter Classic, which there was a survey for, it's more of the same thing. World of Warcraft, right? If I sometimes I think, oh, maybe I should get a little taste of World of Warcraft again, right? However, this is not a game that targets me. I'm more of a person who likes to move forward in things and continue and bring the memories with me. So I'm less energetic about these things lately. And that's what I would probably wrap up with module 32. In fact, if I were really being serious, only the first 4 weeks of each campaign are the substance, and then the remaining campaign is pretty much irrelevant because largely, actually after the second week, you can get into the trials or the dungeon or whatever, grab that, and not completing the campaign is actually purely optional as well nowadays. So that's a little bit of a TLDR. All right, folks. As always, feel free to follow along if you want. Join in if you want. It is a live service game. It's free to play. So come back for some nostalgia, perhaps. You're more than welcome to come on by and yap, especially during this time, because there's really not much other than chilling, vibing, sharing some yap, coffee table talk over nostalgia over Neverwinter Online, because it's not a game where updates have new things to talk about. It's more like update and it's business as usual. So take it with a grain of salt. If you're business as usual people, it leaves for a lot of room for yapping and sharing things. I had a really excellent conversation with Xing Xing near the end, by sheer coincidence, about Australian culture and some Christmas stuff and Aborigines. And then I typically occasionally bump into people who are talking about, oh yeah, I haven't played Neverwinter in a while. Yeah, it's an old game. And then, you know, Turnip has recently returned. We have culture. Oh, wait, Turnip, you're Australian? We'll have to visit that again. Well, Sing Sing and you will have something to talk about. So, anyways, maybe a discussion for another time. What do Koinki think? So until we'll talk about it next time. I'm sure there'll be opportunities. Until next time, stay safe, stay healthy, and I'll catch you guys on the next one. Bye bye.